Hi, I'm Jane and I'm here to talk to you about time and how to use it at university. Now, by accessing this video, you've probably worked out that managing your time can be a challenge at university. As well as attending your lectures and seminars, you're going to have assessments for different modules to do, and you might also have exams and a placement to complete. Add to that other important priorities like a job, maybe caring commitments, not to mention your social life, of course. You can see that life at university can be a big juggling act. So you're probably familiar with having bleary eyes from having too much coffee, pulling in all night the night before an assignment was due, and that's no good. So here I'm going to talk you through some steps that will help to put you back in control of your time and keep your stress levels down. When we think about time management, it probably generates images of timetables and diaries and priority lists. We will come to those, but before you get busy drawing up plans, a good starting point is to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Now, this means taking some time to think about the different roles that you have in life. As well as being a student, you might be a parent, a carer, an employee, a brother or sister, a son or daughter, a friend, a team member, and blah blah blah. Now, these roles will all be important to you in different ways, but they'll place different demands on you as well. And when we talk about time management, it's really important that you don't just think about university in isolation to these other roles. We'll be referring to time management in the context of your whole life. But sometimes we do get so bogged down with life that we don't appreciate all the different roles we have and the different demands that they are placing on us. So before you start the techniques that we suggest in this video, take some time to reflect on all the different roles that you've got, how important they are to you, and what demands they place on you. It'll also help to think about your attitude to time. Do you value it? Do you see it as a finite resource? Time's not elastic, and for time management to work, you do have to appreciate that time is valuable and it's something that you are responsible for. Now, meet Maddie. She's a third year student. Like you, she's got lots of commitments, and she's here to share some of her experiences of managing her time when she was in first year.
I blamed other people for my bad time management. I thought that the only way I could get on top of my workload was if the lecturer stopped dishing out coursework. Instead of taking responsibility, I just made excuses and ended up getting really stressed out. Here's the bottom line. Time is your greatest asset in life. You get to choose how to spend it. So take control over your time right now and be calmer for the rest of your time at university.
There are loads of things that you can do to manage your time, but here we'll recommend 4 key things that will help. First is to become more aware of your time wasting habits, so now we'll look at each of these steps in a bit more detail. Okay, step 1. Now, let's face it, everybody wastes time, but most people aren't aware of how much time they waste. And if you want to use your time effectively, you have to first of all identify where you're wasting time. So to help you get started, pause the video and complete this questionnaire. Be as honest and accurate as possible. Now, it's not really to be taken too seriously, but it's actually a really good way to make you realise how easily time can be wasted. Now that you've got a rough idea of how you spend your time, do this simple calculation. There are 160 hours in a week. Deduct your total from 168 to give you an approximate idea of how much free time you've got left for study. Based on the questionnaire, ask yourself, do you really have enough time left for study? Now you can pause the video if you want to do this just now. Okay, so you've got a rough idea of how you spend your time. Now have a think about whether you've got enough time left for study. If not, think about what changes you need to make. So for example, you might decide that you need to start getting up earlier in the mornings, or spend more time in the library, or maybe ask for a bit more help from family and friends with childcare. Here's Maddie again.
Take a good, hard look at your lifestyle and decide what changes you could make to prevent time wasting. Now, don't kid yourself or set yourself up for failure. Commit to what you can realistically change.
Now, it's all very well deciding that you're going to make changes, but sticking to them isn't easy, and it does take a huge amount of willpower. One way to help you make changes that will last is to build them into a routine. Think about people who decide to take up regular exercise. So often they drop out after a short period because they start to dread it. But But by making an activity a routine, like going to an exercise class with a friend every Monday, you force a habit which makes it easier to continue with. Here's what Maddie says about routines.
I honestly can't believe the difference that this made. I sat down and I came up with some realistic changes that I could stick to every week, like spending Thursday mornings in the library and meeting some classmates to work on assignments after lectures on Mondays. Now, it was really tough at first, I will admit, but over time these things just sort of became part of my week, part of my routine, and the dread I used to feel completely disappeared. They must become proper routines because I'm actually still doing them. There's no magic pill that will make you change your time-wasting habits. You've got to be prepared to do it. Time management really means managing yourself.
So now you know what you want to change and you've thought about how you might make the changes. All that's left is for you to plan your time. Now, as you probably know, there are loads of different kinds of timetables that you can use for planning your time. And as a student, maybe the most useful ones are coursework planners and weekly planners, so we'll look at them just now. Here's how to do a coursework planner. The slide shows an example of a timetable for writing an essay. Firstly, what you want to do is work out how long you've got before the assignment submission date, and then break the big task down into smaller steps and work out how long each step's going to take you. You can then set some deadlines for completing each task. Once you've finished the table, you can then position it somewhere obvious so that you've constantly got a reminder of what you need to do. Coursework planning does really help with not only getting your work completed in time, but it'll give you a series of smaller achievable goals which make the task seem much more achievable and really help to keep your motivation up. Weekly planners can also be useful to organise your time and give you a sort of overall picture of what you need to get done in the week. You can make up a planner with specific hours, or like the one shown in the slide with morning, afternoon and evening slots. First of all, add all your classes, all your appointments, any caring commitments you've got and your routine activities. And then allocate times to coursework and study. You can use different colours for different kinds of activities as shown in the example. And the remaining time is yours to do what you like with. To keep you on top of what needs done during the day, it's also worth keeping a diary. The kinds of diaries that you can access on smartphones are probably the most convenient if you tend to have your phone beside you most of the time. This slide shows an image of an online calendar accessed from a phone.
I used to think that planning was for geeks. Sure, it is a bit dull, but if you want to escape uni stress hell and feel in control of your juggling act, you can't do it without planning. I started by making paper timetables, which really did help at the time, but then I realised that I could use the calendar on my smartphone. It's brilliant. I sit down at the start of the week and work out what needs done and when I'm going to do it. Then I add the tasks to the calendar on my phone and I've got a constant reminder of what I should be doing. It even beeps before each task to remind me to get started. Total genius. Everybody knows that having timetables and schedules works, but not everybody keeps them. The key is to be realistic and build in some contingency time in case something goes wrong. But remember to save time for play, it can't all be work. Oh, and remember not to spend too long planning. That's a form of procrastination.
Speaking of procrastination, when working on an assignment, have you ever convinced yourself that you've got more important things to do? Spent so long deciding what to do for an assignment that you've got nothing done? Underestimated the amount of time an assignment was going to take to complete? Or find yourself daydreaming or wished you were somewhere else? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, then you probably know how to procrastinate, which means putting things that need done off until a later date. It's only human to procrastinate, but at the end of the day, it only leads to tiredness, stress, and disappointment when you don't do as well as you could have done. To overcome procrastination, you need to first of all identify what's actually causing it. Do you feel overwhelmed? Maybe you don't know where to start, or every time you get started you end up throwing it away and starting it again. Sometimes there can be underlying reasons for procrastination. For many of us, it can be a self-protection strategy. If we leave things to last minute, then we've always got the excuse of not having had enough time, which means that we don't feel like a failure. Simply knowing that this is why you might be procrastinating can go a long way to stopping you from doing it. Here are some other tips for overcoming procrastination. Get rid of temptation. Find a space for working and don't mix it with where you play. Set realistic goals. Don't sabotage yourself by having unrealistic expectations, which will only set you up for failure. Start with the tasks that you're dreading the most. Getting them out of the way will motivate you to keep going. Break big tasks like S's into smaller achievable chunks with target dates for completion. Know when you work best and plan work for those times. If you're a morning person, don't plan to work at night time. Make a deal with yourself to work for 40 to 45 minutes without interruption and then reward yourself with a 10 to 15 minute break. Resist checking emails and browsing the internet, and you can use internet blocking sites if you need to. If you're distracted by noise, get some noise reduction headphones. Before we sum up this tutorial, here are some final tips for managing your time at university. First of all, just don't skip lectures. Missing classes really messes with time management and increases stress in the long run. Take advantage of the first few weeks of the trimester where there's little pressure on you to get on with assignments. You can make use of dead time like sitting on a bus or waiting for an appointment by taking work with you. And sometimes some of us need to learn to say no, although it can be hard. Saying no frees up time for the things that are most important. And finally, start coursework as soon as you know what's expected of you. Let's finish this tutorial with a final word from Maddie.
University represents a time in your life that will probably have a major impact on how the rest of your life turns out. Keep that in mind so that the decisions that you make today about how you spend your time are clever ones. Good luck!